Oh, I'll post videos every day for Vlogmas. Hello there. Welcome back. And thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. In about a month, I am moving, so I desperately need to start going through all of my items and decluttering them. And I figured, what a better way to do that than to film videos to start a playlist here. First thing that I am decluttering, which you were watching today, is my book collection. Since my book collection is on the larger side and I don't want you to feel like you have to sit and watch a super long video, this collection look through and declutter is actually going to be in 2 parts. I will be linking part 2 down below in the comments once it does go live. And if you are new here, welcome. I was supposed to be uploading videos every day for the month of December for Vlogmas, and I'm going to do my best to get back on track with that. If you are only here to see those books and to hear me talk about those books, I will leave that timestamp down below for you. But if you want to know where I've been, here it is. A little over a week ago, I fell down some stairs and really hurt my left arm. And I thought at first, like, I heard some other things, but the left arm was really like the focus of where the pain was. I could barely move it even as the week went on. And I thought that I had actually broken it, like a little like hairline fracture or something like that. When I went to get x-rays, figured out that thankfully it was not broken. Unfortunately though, I really messed up my shoulder. Specifically, I messed up my rotator cuff. I'm still in a lot of pain from that. I was given some medicine, some physical therapy things to do at home, and was told to use my arm, but overall still in pain, but not as much pain as I was in last week. Last week it was so bad that literally I had to sit at my desk at work. It hurt too much really to move around, and it took all of my energy to get up, get ready, go to work, drive home, and then like that was it. There was no energy left over for me to film and edit videos. So that is why I missed a week of Vlogmas. The video that I did have last week was pre-filmed, and Sunday's video, the Conqueror Challenge video, I filmed it the Thursday before, Thursday evening, and I was in so much pain for that one. It had to be filmed on a timeline though, so I couldn't really push it off. I was in so much pain for that filming that short like 13-minute video took an hour to film, because I had to stop and kind of like catch my breath and like really stop and think about what I had to say and what I wanted to say, because I was in that much pain. Anyway though, I'm pretty glad to be back. Onward to the book collection. Thought I would start here. These are just kind of like homeless books that were just floating all around the apartment. So I'm going to start with going through these. I'll have a stack of keep and like pack into boxes tonight, and then a stack of giveaway and a stack of to be read. So like some of the books are going to be like obviously keep because I need to read them, and some are going to be like keep because I've read them but I just really enjoy them, or they have some sort of sentimental value to me. First up is Our Wild Calling by Richard Louv. I got this in an Earth Love box and have not at all read this. I actually, so I had started, I was going to read the first chapter. I had put in a postcard for a bookmark and then put it away and completely forgot about it. So I will be keeping this. This will be put into the to be read pile. This is William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it has the book. I was seeing if they had, here we go. So it has the jacket cover that was specifically designed for the Bookishly Classic crate. I haven't read this edition. This is one of my favorite plays though, so I will definitely be keeping this one. I have quite a few Book of the Month books because I was subscribed to Book of the Month for a year and got a lot of add-ons. And to be honest, I don't know what to do with a lot of them, because like this one, The Lost Apothecary, I loved this book. I thought it was fantastic. But I've read it, and I'm not really going to read it again. It was fantastic, but not a book that I would want to read over and over again. So I will put this, I don't know, because I kind of want to keep it, kind of want to give it away just so it could have a new home. This is the issue I'm going to have with a lot of these books. I pretty much feel that deep down in my soul. So like right now, I know I said I would have 3 stacks. I'm going to put this in a maybe stack. This one apparently was loved. It has a coffee cup stain on it. So this is Commonwealth, and this is part of the Olive editions. Olive editions are sort of classic books that are in quite a small print, but they are, let me see if I can find, yeah, so they're $10 US, and I do typically try to find olive editions of things because it is such a great price. I got to 149, page 149, stopped reading it, put it away. I will be keeping this though because I do want to finish up this book. Next up is 100 Places in France Every Woman Should Go. I've leafed through this one, like read it kind of sporadically, and I do plan on just keeping this just solely because I plan on using it as travel inspiration for hopefully upcoming trips to France. Next up is Rules of Civility. I'm gonna be deadly honest with you, I bought it for the cover. I just really like this picture. It takes place in, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, in the late 1930s. And once again, I started reading it, got to page 36, chapter 3, got to chapter 3 and stopped. The first 2 chapters that I read, though, I really did enjoy, so I will put this back in my to-be-read pile. As I'm going through all of these books, if there are any books that you have read and you want to give your review on them, please do drop that in the comments down below. So this is Becoming, Michelle Obama's autobiography / memoir, and I got to page 39. That seems to be about where I read and then put the book up and read something else. Another book on my to-be-read pile is What She Ate by Laura Shapiro. So this is, I thought that this was a cool book and I asked for it, I think for Christmas or my birthday one year. I thought that it looked really cool. It tells about 6 women and tells their stories through the foods that they eat. So if you wanted to get a quick view of what those women's stories would be, or I guess who the women are. So this, I'm gonna have to box up a lot of books. It looks like this will be going into my to-be-read. This is Peace in Every Step, The Path to Mindfulness in Everyday Life. I really do love his books. I've read quite a few. Honestly, no matter what religion you are, or if you don't practice any sort of religion, you'll find something in his books. You'll find some sort of comfort in his books. It's mostly about like mindfulness and life, and really looking within to find peace. That's what a lot of his books are about. Dover Thrift edition of H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man. I never read this. However, I don't think I will, or at least I won't read it at this point. I won't read this edition. So I am definitely going to declutter it. Oh, look. Ooh, the first declutter of this video. O Pioneer by Willa Cather. Oh, got all the way to chapter 11. Before I stopped reading it. Let's see what the postcard is. Oh, this was from I think it's called All True Now, but it was called Causebox whenever I got this in the mail. All right, so this is going to go back into the to-be-read box. John Green's Looking for Alaska. Took it home, didn't read it, probably won't. I will bring this to my classroom. I don't know where the dust jacket for this one is, but this is Before the Devil Breaks You from Libba Bray. This is part of her Diviners. Part of her Diviners series, which I absolutely love. I think this is the 3rd one in the series out of 4, if I'm not mistaken. Haven't read it yet. Super excited to get it in the mail, though. And the bookmark of choice for this one, stickers. This is a beautiful edition of Anne of Green Gables, which was a Christmas gift in 1997. So that is definitely why we'll be holding on to this. I also love the Anne of Green Gables story, so we'll be keeping this one. This is her Royal Spyness. It's part of a series that was recommended, if I'm not mistaken. It was recommended on like one of these things, like if you like Agatha Christie, you'll like these books. It is set in the 1930s, like Christie's books, and it follows, what's her name? Lady Victoria Georgiana Charlotte Eugene. So she is royalty, very far royalty, very far off royalty, but she is royalty and she solves crimes. Let's see how far I got into this book. Oh, I got all the way to page 3. Looking good. All right, so this one is going to be going in that to-be-read pile. This is a book that I borrowed, and the to-be-read pile just fell down. Oh no. This is a book that I borrowed from my mom last Christmas, and I need to finish reading it so that I can read the rest in the series. This is The Story of a New Name. It is part of the Neapolitan novels. As you can see, this is book 2. She loves them, told me that I should read them, and I love them as well. I don't know why I stopped reading it. I just did. But I got, look, wow, I got all the way to page 223. I think I'm going to leave this one out, actually. I'm not going to put it in a box because I would like to read this right now. The Room on Rue Amélie was a fantastic book. I loved it so much. This is historical fiction that is set during World War II. I could tell that this story was definitely well researched, and it has a bit of a twist ending, which is really cool. However, this is sort of like The Lost Apothecary. I loved it so much, but I'm not going to read it again. I will see if there's anyone in my life who wants to read this before I give it away for good. But this will go in the declutter pile. And this is one of the tiny penguin classics that I would get from Bookishly Classic Crate. Have not read these. Will keep this though because I do like to leaf through these. The Lost Girls of Ireland was the last book that I got from The Wordy Traveler. I had to think. So from The Wordy Traveler, have yet to read this. Borrowed this one, have not read it yet. My Life in France by Julia Child. I love Julia Child, so I don't know why I've waited so long to read this one, but yeah. We'll be keeping this. It will be going in the to be read pile. Another book of the month book that I haven't read yet. It was one of my add-ons recently. This is Circling the Sun. Likewise with this one. We Are the Brennans. Brennans. I think it would be Brennans. This was a book of the month choice a few months ago. Haven't read this one either. Let me know if you've read either of those books. Red, White, and Royal Blue. I love this. I read this over Mardi Gras break last year, like in a few days when we were all like frozen in our homes and there was nothing to do. Read this and I cried. It was so good. I love this book so much. I love this book so much. I'm going to bring this to my classroom, even though I do really love it, but it's sitting on the shelf isn't really going to do me much good. But if you haven't read this book, 100% recommend that you pick it up. The Madonna of Excelsior. I had started reading this, didn't get too far. I got into chapter 4 and I had to put it up because I got this in the mail last school year when it was like super stressful and didn't have a lot of mental space to be reading a book as complex as this. I found it a little too complex for the time that I was living in, but now that I'm in a better mental space, I would like to try to read this again. To be read pile. Pride and Prejudice is next. This is another dust jacket from Bookishly Classic Crate, which I do love. It's so beautiful. I wasn't reading this. This is just the bookmark that I placed in it. I've read Pride and Prejudice time and time again. Love it. Love Jane Austen. She is one of my favorite authors. I know that probably sounds cliche to say, but it is the truth. So we have the Body Politic, which I have not read. I will be keeping though. The Girl You Left Behind. Another one that I got pretty much just for the cover. And the fact that it was set in 1916 and there's not a lot of historical fiction that's set there. I find that a lot of the historical fiction is set, or at least the ones that I find, is set in World War II, not necessarily World War I. So decided to pick this one up. Haven't read it yet though. Next is Madame du Deffand and the Idiots. I'm sure I butchered that. 1984 is next. This is the Bookishly Dust Jacket. This is a really good book. I have read this book before many times. I might pass the book along though, like put it in my classroom or pass it along to somebody and just keep the dust jacket just because I think that this was such a cool theming. Might use this in like some upcoming artwork or something. So I'm going to keep this. And then, ooh, I even like that. But I'm going to keep this, and then pass this along. So this is an excellent book. It is a youth's novel, and it is about the road to Montgomery. And so this is Turning 15 on the Road to Freedom, my story of the 1965 Selma Voting Rights March. So you could definitely tell that this book was meant for kids, or meant for, I guess, youth, 6th to 9th grade, just by the wording that was used. But I really liked that they included pictures and they didn't dumb anything down or leave anything out that might be too graphic or too traumatic. They showed like the horrors of what happened on the March to Freedom without, I guess, being too gruesome, but they didn't leave anything out, which I really do appreciate. So this one was an excellent book as well. In the Heart of The Light. It's a book of poetry that we received in a TheraBox a few months back, and I read a few of the poems, and they are quite good, but I did not read them all, so I will be keeping it to be read pile. And the last of the lost books is a Book of the Month book, and it's called Once There Were Wolves. Can you guess it? Did I finish this book? The answer is no. I got to page 17. So I will be putting this in a to be read pile. So these are some art books that I do like. We have The Short Story of Art, The Painter's Bible, and Life, Love, Beauty. So these two are more so focused on painting, and this one's focused on photography. I will be keeping all three of these just because I like to look at them for like reference and then also just for some inspiration. All right, and now we will be focusing on this shelf. Because of my arm, I will not be bringing them to the table. We're just gonna be here. All right, so here we have The Perishing. This was, I think, the last book of the month. No, second to last book of the month. Really important book. Really important stuff. My cat has taught me how to be a villain, evil laughs, and secret lairs. We have a really old edition here of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Peter Pan is one of my favorite stories, like movie, books, story in general, tales. Absolutely love it. I have a couple of copies, if I'm not mistaken, of Peter Pan, and this is the oldest one that I own. To Kill a Mockingbird. Used to read this about once a year. Might start picking that up again. This is the newer edition of To Kill a Mockingbird that I have. Here's another edition of Peter Pan, but a really cool one. So this is a French version of Peter Pan that I bought in Paris. I have a few copies of books that, I guess like the equation of French, like golden books that I bought in Paris. And the bookmark. And here is a picture of me and some old friends circa 2009, I would say. Yep, Waiting for Spectra Magic in the Magic Kingdom, 2009. Oh, there's also this one. I haven't seen either of these pictures in forever. I was a huge Harry Potter fan growing up, and still do like the stories. Obviously, I don't condone what the author did over the summer. I have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in French that a friend of mine brought me back from France. John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie. My uncle recommended that I read this. Sorry, Uncle Pat, if you're watching this, I have not read it yet. I purchased the book years ago, but haven't read it yet. So I'll put it on my to-be-read list for 2022. T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland and Other Poems. This is my father's book that I nipped, and this has one of my favorite poems in it. Also, the bookmark for this was from when I was a cast member. This was the family holiday celebration card for 2001. Love it. I do have some picture books from my childhood, and this was one of my favorite books growing up, Swimming. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I have a few copies of this because years ago I directed a youth production of Alice in Wonderland, and at the time, every gift that I got from people, I guess they thought was Alice in Wonderland themed. I guess they thought that I loved it so much, which, I mean, I do. I picked the Play to Direct, so, but this one I'm definitely going to keep because it comes from Shakespeare and Company in Paris. If I lived in Paris, I would go to multiple times a week. That would just be my hangout spot. We have some more Shakespeare. We have Macbeth, which I think I'm supposed to teach in the last month of this school year, so I should probably reread this. Have not read this yet. Borrowed it from my mom, who said that I definitely should read it. Have not yet, so to be read list. 2 Jane Austen books. I love, by the way, the Barnes & Noble Classic books because they are such a great price. Like this book was $6.95. They're such a great price for classic books. So we have another Pride and Prejudice, and we have Sense and Sensibility. I know I don't need 2 Pride and Prejudice books, so what I'm probably going to do is whichever book has the smaller print, I will give that one away because it's harder for me to read, and keep the slipcover and just put it on top of the book that I keep. All right, The Sound of Wings, and this one I have not read yet, and the bookmark is an actual bookmark. So here is the bookmark. Me by Elton John. This is Elton John's autobiography. Love this. When I tell you, okay, honestly, I didn't actually crack the book open and read it. I bought the book and I learned that Taron Egerton, who played Elton in Rocket Man, was narrating his book. So instead, like I bought the book, but then I also bought the audiobook and just listened to it. But this is a phenomenal book. Made me cry, like boohoo cry, so many times. Elton is quite an inspiration to me, so that's why I think I loved this book so much. Another inspiration, let us talk. I could film a video about my love for Anthony Bourdain. So have 3 of his books. These books, so we have A Cook's Tour, The Nasty Bits, and Kitchen Confidential. These 3 books I will never get rid of. I purchased each book to take with me while I was waiting in the back in like the prep area for surgery and to read once I got out during recovery. So these were like a little life source into a world that I couldn't be in, a travel world that I couldn't be in while I was recovering for surgeries and being prepped for surgeries and during the really difficult times. So we'll always keep these. By the way, not sure if you're like me, still not over the fact that there is no more Anthony Bourdain living. Hamlet is my favorite Shakespearean play, so I have multiple copies you will see of this one. Frommer's Paris 2011. I know it is outdated, but I am keeping this just for the sheer memories. As you can see, I actually used it on my first trip to Paris to actually kind of plan out my trip. Next up is The Sweet Life in Paris. This, I love reading about people who have moved to other places, specifically if they are chefs who have moved to other places. I'm not exactly sure why, but that is kind of like my niche of moving abroad literature. This one, I found that it wasn't as like rose-colored glasses as all of the other stories that I had read from other people, but did enjoy it once I kind of got over a little bit of bitterness that was in the story. So I was gonna say I'm gonna give this away, but it has recipes too. And I do like to cook and I do like to bake. So I'll be keeping this one, but I will be moving it in my new place with the cookbooks. Love reading autobiographies as well. And this is the autobiography of Edith Stein, or St. Theresa Benedicta of the Cross. Farther than others, I got to page 58. The Shell Collector, have not read this one yet. The Personal Librarian was excellent, especially if you like historical fiction. It was beautiful. Another Jane Austen, we have Northanger Abbey. Quite an old book too. This is from like the same collection, the same year as that Peter Pan book. Lead from the Outside, How to Build Your Future and Make Real Change from Stacey Abrams. I bought this because last year I was trying to do this thing where in the morning I would read, I've always read different books depending on what time of day, but I was trying to do this thing where in the morning I would read something motivational, something dealing with leadership. Did not get too far with that though, because I kind of valued my sleep a little more. So I only got through the introduction. All right, so we have Bird by Bird, which I have not read yet, but I am definitely going to keep. A few years ago, I had planned on getting a master's and a doctorate in journalism, which is what my original degree is in. So I asked one of my assistant principals at the time to write a letter of recommendation, and she did, and I got into the program. So she gave me this book, and she put in a lovely and motivational note. Really touched my heart, so I will be keeping that. Did not do the program at all, by the way. I got really, really sick and needed surgery before I even began, so had to drop out. All right, Midnight at the Electric. Jodi Lynn Anderson is one of my favorite young adult authors, and this was absolutely no exception. Midnight at the Electric was actually the first story that I read that was set during the Great Depression. I, though, have read it and will be bringing this to my classroom. The House of the Spirits, have not read it, will be keeping it. The Confessions of St. Augustine, once again, have not read it, will be keeping it. Look how cute this Jim Shore is, not the point of the video, but look. The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Say it with me, y'all. Say it with me. Have not read it. Plan to. Will be keeping it. The Tao Te Ching is a really great book. I've read it multiple times. Will be keeping it to read again probably. I will be keeping all 3 of my Lord of the Rings from Tolkien. Of course, they have the movie covers. Just like I used to read To Kill a Mockingbird every year, I used to read the Lord of the Ring trilogy every year. And I might want to start doing that again. So going from top down, look at this piece of history. So we have Return of the King, The Two Towers, And this one has seen its better days. The Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, I see a bookmark. It's a very faded Air France ticket. All right, that is it for me today. Be on the lookout for part 2 of this video. If you definitely want to get a notification whenever it goes live, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell before you leave here today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye!